Welcome back to Holly's Arizona Lifestyle Podcast, and I'm here with Adam Dahlberg with my favorite listing partner at 72 Sold. Hey, partner.
That's me. Good to see you. Welcome back.
Welcome back. And Sarah Perkins with Navi Title.
Hi, Holly.
Hi, Sarah.
And Adam.
It has been way too long since we got together to hang out. I feel like almost like we should have a champagne in here or something, or a bottle of wine, right?
Seriously.
Welcoming everybody back from the crazy couple of weeks.
July.
4th of July, yeah. We had a lot of vacations happening at this table.
We did.
Some much further than others. You know,
Holly.
Hear about your venture out to the other side of the planet to places I couldn't even pick out on a globe if I had one. Some really weird Mediterranean, right? Mediterranean countries?
Mediterranean and Turkey, Greece.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. Rome. I'm glad to be back.
I bet.
It
Yeah.
was,
Rome is like nothing I've ever experienced.
it was very cool.
It's just like you're there and there's buildings that are 1,000 years old or 2,000 years old, and then Michelangelo's stuff that's 500 years old, and then you're just like having life and, you know, going to Starbucks.
And you have an iWatch, and it's taking you on you can just look at your watch, and it's giving you a tour all the way around.
Right.
These things that are thousands and thousands of years old.
It's just hard to like wrap your head around it. You stare at the Colosseum and you're like, this has been used or was used continuously for thousands of years before the United States was like a thing.
right.
Yeah.
And so even just kind of putting it in perspective, and especially here in Arizona, an old house is like from 1980. So
Exactly.
what makes something old here is very different than that. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was good to go, but it's great to come back. And how is the Westin in Arizona for 4th of July?
Well, the Westin is always my favorite place to go here in Arizona for the 4th of July. They have great, 4th of July festivities and fireworks over the golf course every night. And so it's great. It's kind of our little family tradition every year. Since my son was born, we would go up there for that week of 4th of July. And I spent a lot of time in a lazy river, which was nice. One of the top 5 best lazy rivers in all of Arizona. I think it's number 1 or number 2 on the list of whoever made a list. My goal is to hit all the other ones before the end of this summer. So if you have a lazy river, look out. I'm coming.
Do you have like an official list?
I have an official list
It's like
in
your
my phone.
bucket list that's just for lazy rivers.
The lazy river list. I want to write my own lazy river blog.
I think you should, and I'm quite sure people would read it.
Yeah, and we'll see which ones are actually, worth their weight in water. So I'll tell you, the Westin is just an amazing hotel. If you haven't been to the Westin in Kierland Westin Resort, there's 2 sides to the property. You have the villas side, which is nice, very more adult oriented because it's quiet and beautiful and smells delicious in there when you walk in, like white lilies and whatever else, mint tea flavoring, whatever they have their official
Cucumber.
like Westin. Yeah, it's something like that. Their official Westin smell that you can buy like candles.
They do sell it, yeah.
Yeah, so you walk in, it's beautiful. They have the lounge pool, it's a relaxation pool, they call it, and the fire pits and all that. But then on the other side, you kind of walk across the golf course, and there's a path there. You get to the other side, and that's the resort side. And that's where we stay now. We used to stay in the villa side when my son was really young because it was just the other side, this just with the pool and everything, it's just crazy and, a lot going on. But now that he's older, we're on the resort side, and we basically just 9 a.m. get up, go get your chairs down at the pool, as close to the lazy river bar as you can, and you float. And we had an amazing time. My favorite part of the week was this. On 4th of July, they had a DJ that they brought in. Last year, they had the Tommy Bahama Bar Band, which I thought was awesome because these guys were, they had the steel drums and they were playing music. This year, they decided to hire a DJ. Now, we bring our own box down to our own, what we call the bump box, down to the pool, which is this giant boom box the size of like half this table. It's got a ton of speakers on it. It runs off of a car battery and like diesel gas or something. It is loud. It's called the bump box.
It's amazing.
So we bring it down, and the manager guy runs over. He's like, "Hey, you guys can't play your music today. We have this DJ. He's here until 5 o'clock, and turn the music off." So no problem. So I don't know where they hired this DJ, but it must have been like from nightclub Aria in downtown or something, or from some LA DJ, because he starts DJing good music if you were, at a nightclub at night or if you were in Ibiza.
At
but
9 a.m.?
Not necessarily. No, this was at like 1, from like 1 to 5 or something. So for 4 straight hours, he just bumped like techno and house music to this family pool, right? It was like a rave at the pool, which I was into it for a minute, and I thought maybe he'd switch it up. And
Like a little flashback of, everybody,
Yeah.
oh, I remember 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, now
so,
we have kids.
later in the day, my wife goes over to the DJ area, and she's like, hey, just curious, are you going to play any type of like, American kind of music? And the guy was like, what do you mean by that? She's like, I don't know. It's 4th of July. Like, give me some Bruce Springsteen or something,
Right.
something. And the guy was like, no, I'm going to continue to play my house music. I'll be done in an hour. And my wife goes, thank goodness. And like turns around and like walks away. I'm like, man, that's kind of rude. You're hurting that guy's feelings. But clearly he's not reading the room, reading the crowd, right? You're at a pool with a bunch of kids and you're playing like the most hardcore techno that you could find in your computer.
That's terrible.
1 minute to 5, 4:59. Last song ends. He starts to he's starting to like pack his stuff up or whatever. And immediately my wife hits play on her phone, which goes to the bump box. Right out of the gate, Star Spangled Banner, right? Just out of the... People start clapping. They stand up. People taking their hats off in the pool. I swear, they're taking their hats off in the pool. People are, putting their hand over their chest and just kind of letting the national anthem play. It couldn't have been timed more perfect, and we didn't even know this was going to happen. But at that exact same time, right across the way from the Westin is the Scottsdale Air Park, right? And they happen to have on 4th of July every year this display of old warplanes. So you see coming out of the airport these old like World War II airplanes and like these old like classic warplanes, helicopters. And as the Star Spangled Banner is ending, the last few notes, Home of the Brave, all that, these like helicopters come flying right over the Westin. These old like military choppers with the smoke coming out, the flares and stuff come out. And everyone just stands up and starts applauding and screaming and hooting, because they thought it was part of they maybe thought the Westin was doing it or whatever. We go right into Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA, Rockin' the USA, and then just continue on for the rest of the evening. We had our own little party. We called it the Party Cove. So that was pretty awesome. And from then on, it was just, hey, every time we went down to the pool, where's the music? Where's the bump box?
Yeah.
It's on its way.
It's on its way.
It's on its way. We brought the party for sure.
Is it on wheels? How do you carry it?
It's 50 pounds, and it has a strap on it, and you just carry it. You get bruised shoulders, you get like bruised calf or shins and knees from it, slapping into the side of you. It's a big. I'll show you a picture of it. It's pretty awesome. It's big. Yeah.
Who would think Arizona is a happening place for 4th of July?
It was great. See you at the Westin next year. So, but yes, like you said, Holly and Sarah, when you are away, it's always good to come home.
I love coming home.
I love Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the best state in the country.
It is. So, Sarah, you and I are from Chicago. What do you like being in Arizona better than Chicago?
And what's so funny is like Holly, so a lot of people in Arizona from Chicago, Holly and I are literally from like maybe 1 to 2 miles apart. Like we grew up so close. Our high schools were rivals. So when we talk about where we grew up, we know. And in Chicago,
it's
life,
big.
I mean, exactly. But you think, February in Chicago is like awful because the sun does not shine for like 4 months. And then by the time you reach February, you're just depressed and angry.
Right.
And so, the whole time growing up in Chicago, coming back from vacation, I always felt a little sad coming home. I'm like, okay, cool. Right. But then since I've been in Arizona for almost 20 years, every time I come home from vacation here, I'm like,
so happy.
This is where I belong. Like, this is home. And it feels good. Even just walking off the airplane, you're like, no, this is home.
Right.
And I think that's something that's so special about this place.
Right. And the other thing that I found is a lot of people are from other places.
Oh, for sure.
So in Chicago, I always thought there's people because they're born and raised from generation to generation.
They're all from Chicago.
They're from Chicago, and there's lots of groups, and here everybody's from different places, and people are so much more friendly and open. And I have some of my best friends from here.
Yeah. And some of our best friends have been clients that we've met along the way in our real estate world. To this day, I still talk to, I have 3 friends, 2 really good friends that I met through transactions, right? Helping them sell their home. And then they've come back and wanted to buy homes, later. And I'm about to finish up a deal right now a second sale for this buddy of mine who I met, just as a normal friend, right? Through business, but helping now his kids, close on their property. So it's really nice to, be able to really connect with your clients in that way where you continue on and it becomes more of a relationship than just a transaction. And that's important, if you're doing any type of business, is to look at it from more of a standpoint of, you're creating and building a relationship with that person, not just for the month or 2 months that it takes to get through that transaction, but, you can continue that on over your lifetime, and help them and help their family and friends when they need some guidance, in a huge purchase, one of the biggest purchases and sales that these people will ever make in their life, and they're entrusting you to do that. So it's important you have that kind of that relationship with somebody, I think.
What's kind of cool about that is, so I moved to Arizona from DC. I had to make a couple stops first. And my brother and his wife and family, they live in DC. And, DC is a great place to visit. And if you like living there, that's cool. But I didn't. And coming here, and then, having a life, friends, things like that, my brother and his wife would come visit. And anytime they went out with me and my friends here, they would always be like, did anybody ask you what you did? And they're like, no, because everything in DC, everything. Well, what do you do? Who do you know? And how can I leverage that to win? That is the DC environment. That's the mindset. And so they were like, people here just want to hang out because they like each other. Right. I was like, yeah, isn't that cool? He's like, it's not just about getting ahead. And I kind of felt sorry, more so for the people in DC because they can't chill out. But that's part of it, where people are just welcoming and open to who, whatever you want to be, whoever you are. Right. It's awesome.
I've heard that about DC, that it's, and I don't think anything negative about anybody from DC. I don't know anybody. I'm sure there's some very beautiful people out there, but the term for DC that I've heard is it's the Hollywood for ugly people.
Yeah.
It's all about how can you get up and ahead of the other person,
It's it is ugly.
That's very different than here.
Whose feet can you step on to get above them,
And it gets weird fast. And they're so blatant, where there were... My brother was a eligible bachelor at the time when I was in DC, and all the girls didn't like hanging out with me until they found out that he was my brother, and then they want to be best friends. I was like, really? This is also transparent. Everything. Yeah. You can tell. I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Well, we're blessed to be where we are, and I think that quite honestly, we are the number one state in the country. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. Our culture here is fantastic for the people that live here, but our history is also something unbelievable. I mean, there's so many cool places in Arizona that you could spend years just touring our state here and seeing so many different pieces of history. I mean, I was just having a conversation. Who was I? Was it with you? We were talking about Tombstone.
Tombstone.
Yeah, Tombstone. And how
I
was on this podcast, wasn't it?
Yeah, we talked about Holly. Have you been to Tombstone?
I have not been to Tombstone.
We clearly need to go.
Yes.
Yeah, it is awesome. All the way up to northern Arizona, where you can see obviously the Grand Canyon, but then there's so many cool old native sites and ruins and
antelope.
Oh yeah, the Horseshoe River thing.
And it's so pretty. I mean, it's just so pretty.
Right, and then we have a new aquarium, right, and a butterfly museum.
Oh yeah, over in Scottsdale. Yeah,
I've been to the aquarium many times.
The Butterfly Museum. I took my son there when it first opened, and he was a little guy at the time. And let me give you, anybody who goes there, the best piece of advice for the best time you'll ever have in your life. You go into the Butterfly Museum, and there's two ways to get in. Well, there's two doors, right? They give you this little movie about butterflies, and then you leave there and you go into this room, and then the doors close, and then you open the other door, which takes you out into the Butterfly Museum in case any butterflies escape. They don't want them flying around the building. So it's kind of a midway there. When you walk into the actual atrium, is that what they call it, where the butterflies are?
That sounds right.
Yeah, sounds right. All of a sudden you get swarmed by these butterflies. They just start flying around. And they're flying everywhere. There's thousands of them, right? Some are tiny little butterflies. Some are the size of a piece of paper. They're humongous butterflies. They're flying all around. It's so funny to watch the reactions to people, because some people walk in and they're just like, whoa, look at all of these. It's so cool. And other people, it's like, when you get attacked by a moth and you're swatting and there's guards, basically, employees that stand there by the door. and start yelling at you, like grab you. Because so many people will walk in and like lose their minds as these butterflies start flying. Because that's your natural reaction when like a bug or whatever.
Right.
And women especially, they freak out and they're swatting and they like drop to the ground and they like cover their heads and they're screaming because they think they were getting attacked. They're butterflies, they're not going to hurt you. The best thing to do is just get yourself a cocktail, get a drink, and go post up. They have a little bench right by the front door or the entry door there, and just sit there and just laugh yourself into a great afternoon, because these people walk in there and 50% are amazed and the other like half just lose their mind. And
So you can, like,
and they have to run,
gamble.
and they have to run right out. So if you start swatting at the butterflies, they grab you and they kind of escort you out. It's hilarious. Probably don't even give you a refund.
Can totally do wagers. Who's going to survive? Who can make it in?
Oh, that's what you do, because you see them through the glass coming to the door. You know, you're like, oh, let's see what we're gonna do. You know, husband and wife, and the wife just, it's pretty hilarious actually. So, but don't swat the butterflies, but go visit for sure.
The aquarium's pretty cool. And what I like about the aquarium that's right there is there's a lot of conservation, and they do a lot of helping a lot of animals. So they have a few of the big sea turtles that have had issues and that can't be released back into the wild. So then they'll keep them and like teach them how to live. And they have all these different things. So there's some animals that are kind of a little mangled, but they're all been taken care of, and it's really cool. And then they study them, and then they do a lot. It's just a ton for conservation and helping the fish. And, you can't help but like that.
They got a bunch of damaged ones in there.
Yes, they do.
Half fish.
They have like a shark with like a crazy, it's crazy. Some of them have like cuts, huge, like 2 faces. Like mangled fish.
Wow.
And then there's even a thing that sea turtles get that's like bubble butt or something, and they like have too much buoyancy, and so they can't dive deep. So there's some stuff.
They got ankle weights on there.
One of my favorite places is the Frank Lloyd Wright.
Taliesin West.
Have you been there?
I lived there. That's why I moved here.
Really?
My dad ran the Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation.
Wow.
So yeah, I've been there.
I love it.
It's crazy.
Love
When
it.
he bought it, so have you been there?
No.
So it's a school also, but the Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation runs and owns Taliesin West, and there's also Taliesin in Wisconsin. And the one down here, when Frank Lloyd Wright bought the land, he bought it totally remote, so far away because he wanted it up on the side of a mountain where you couldn't even see a single light from that tiny, tiny cowpoke town called Phoenix, 30 miles away.
Right.
And so there's a picture, and he bought this land in like 1930, and there's this picture of like a carriage, coming up, and they're like, if you could see a light, it's because they were coming to Taliesin West. And then, do you know where,
Yeah.
do you know where it is? Like,
Yeah.
Cactus and Frank Lloyd Wright.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it's like in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
And they have a great school there, like a camp for kids. Brittany went there in the summer. They have a great camp for kids. My daughter went there in the summer when she was
That's
younger.
cool.
Your kids might like it. And they learn about how to design homes. And they put together this model. And it's just an amazing experience, a beautiful place.
Yeah. Well, I will check it out. I've been to Agrosanti. Is that how you say
Arcosanti?
it? Arcosanti. That was pretty fun.
So, and Paulo Soleri, who did that, he started Cosanti as well, and you can still buy the bells in PV. And they're really cool. They're like cast. And so he also started Arcosanti up north. But there's some really cool places and some really beautiful stuff. And they would do all the casting of those bells at
we watched
Cosanti.
them do it, yeah.
I have some at my house.
We watched
Yeah.
them do
I
it.
bought some.
They're expensive bells. Yeah, who knows bells go for that much?
Well, they have some like gigantic ones. Mine's like,
They did the Liberty Bell, I heard. That's what they made. That was their original one, the Liberty Bell. But,
And,
it was...
the timelines don't actually line up
it
that
broke,
way.
so they had to...
Well, we definitely want to welcome everybody to come to Arizona. Think about moving here because it's paradise.
And when you do, you want to make sure that you give us a call, because let's talk about real estate for
Let's
a minute,
talk about
right?
real estate, our favorites.
We happen to have not only, in my opinion, the best state, but we have one of the best places to buy real estate when it comes to appreciation, when it comes to livability and affordability. And, the one thing that we can't control here, obviously, would be interest rates. That's, our federal government. But what we can do here in Arizona is give you probably one of the best places to buy a home that'll probably outlast you and your family. I mean, they're not, the homes back east. I was with my wife back in Ohio just recently, and the homes out there, man, like a 30-year-old home in some of these other states that have heavy snowfall and rain and all that, man, they look like they're dilapidated. It's really hard to keep them up. But here, we have beautiful landscaped front yards that you go out and you vacuum it in the morning. You don't have to mow your grass here.
Even if you have desert, it's easy. You could have desert landscaping. It's easy to maintain.
It's great. So easy living, good prices, and
a healthy housing market. Because what you need for a healthy housing market is jobs and migration, and we have both. We have a lot of demand. We have a lot of people coming here. We have a lot of high-paying jobs coming here. And the thing is we have more buyers than sellers, so prices are going up.
Yeah, and we have 12 resorts with lazy rivers. So if you're thinking about moving from out of state,
bucket list.
You got to hit up the 12 lazy rivers. I think what we need to do is make sure that you guys have our contact information. If you are looking to move to Arizona and want to buy something, if you're here in Arizona and you want to upgrade or downsize a little bit, it's important to have a very strong real estate selling program behind you. That's what we are experts at doing, is not only working with you one-on-one to show you how to maximize the value of your home, but through our sales process, we're going to get you absolutely top dollar, show you as a seller what buyers would be willing to offer you on your home, and then we go from there if it's a good fit for you, without getting tied in, without getting locked in, totally private, without having a sign in your front yard and a lockbox on your front door with strangers coming through your house. We can get you offers on your home in as little as 8 days, and then decide what to do at that point. If you want to take one, great. If you don't, that's okay too. We just want to show you what you can get.
And we had an independent study by 6 independent studies that we get 8 to 12% higher.
8 to 12%, yeah, over the course of the last few
72
years.
sold.
Yeah. It's been great, huh? And that's higher than what?
Higher than traditional real estate.
Traditional agents, yeah, the MLS, right?
So give us a call, 602-388-0319, and Adam and I will be there to help you buy or sell your home, and we'd love to hear from you. So tune in next week, and we'll have more lifestyles and